Hi, I have decided that we are going to skip two lessons since I think it is more important for you to learn more about research. These coming topics under research writing is crucial to you as college students, whatever your course is. It is one of the most requirements among graduating students. So I hope that you won't take these topics lightly since this requires a lot of intellectual gymnastics, if you know what I mean. Since you are no longer to submit a full-blown research proposals, I have decided that you will at least experience how to start a research proposal to guide you in your last year of college. I believe you have already done research in your senior high school years. To make things easier for you, you may use your senior high school research topics. You may also salvage other parts of it and use it in the coming activities in our succeeding lessons. If you don't have a research in your senior high school, which is very unlikely, I'm hoping that you will think of a new research problem. You can work alone or with a partner, whatever you are comfortable with. So we are about to discuss the principles of research. That's Module 17. We will talk about the meaning of research, the qualities of an effective researcher, the parts of a research, steps in writing a research report, and tips in writing a research report. Also, I have divided the discussion into two parts. The second part of our discussion will be uploaded on our next meeting. To formally begin our discussion about research writing, first, we have to ask, why do we need to learn how to research? So, research is essential in the academe, industry, governance, or in any organization. One who is not an expert in this area plays a more functional role in a situation in which his or her research knowledge or experience is applied. For example, in education, there is what we call the theory of multiple intelligence. According to this theory, every student or every person has different kinds of intelligence. There are visual spatial, verbal linguistic, musical rhythmic, logical mathematical, meaning people are different. People's intelligence varies from one person to another. So if you are bad at math, perhaps you are good in language or you are a good dancer. So that's the multiple intelligence theory by Howard Gardner. So that is just one example of the importance of research writing. Theories are being tested, theories are being applied into action. A teacher, for example, can easily adjust his or her teaching practices depending on the intelligence of his or her students. So, research writing may be a struggle at first, especially for you, beginners, but readability, such as clearness and conciseness in writing, can be taught and learned. But what is research? So research is a systematic and scientific way of investigating and gathering information to answer a particular problem. It establishes facts and reach conclusions. Conducting a research can be done in any field such as arts, humanities, social sciences, natural sciences, technology, and health sciences. So any research begins with a topic. Clarifying a topic through a question form is especially useful. So if you wanted to research, first you have to be inquisitive. You have to ask a question. These are the qualities of effective researchers. First is, you must be organized, especially with time. As researchers, the greatest villain or your greatest villain is time. With the things you have to read in your literature review and the time that you will write, you have to organize your time to meet deadlines. So that's the first one. The second one is you must be highly motivated and creative. In researching, one of the best qualities is being creative, since it makes your topic more interesting. So, if you want to be this one, you have to choose a topic that interests you for you to be motivated and creative. Third one, you must read often to get new ideas and identify knowledge gaps. One of the key in writing an effective research is for you to read a lot of researches and then compare it and synthesize it for you to know the knowledge gaps in the field that you are researching. With these knowledge gaps, you can start or formulate your new research or research problem. That's the third one. And the fourth one is you must be an effective communicator, whether it is written or in oral. Since first you have to write, so you need to be an effective writer. And second, if if you wanted to submit it to a symposium, you will be able to present your research in front of a lot of people. That's the fifth one. I mean the fourth one. For the fifth one, you must be participative and collaborative. You have to talk to different people to know their opinions, so you will have a wider perspective regarding your research problem. Next one is you must be analytical and critical about matters relevant to them, to others, or to the society. Meaning, your research problem or your research topic should be relevant to the society that you are in. As well as, one of the most important quality of an effective researcher is for you to be critical about everything. And then the next one is you have to be open-minded and good listeners. The best ideas come from different people that you talk to every day. So with that, you have to be open-minded and you have to be a good listener to know the problems that you can come up with a research with. After discussing the qualities of a researcher, we are now to discuss the different parts of a research. I think you're familiar with this, but this will be some sort of a refresher in your senior high school years. First, we have the title. Second, the abstract. Third, the introduction. Fourth, the literature review. Fifth, the methodology. Sixth, results. Seventh, discussion. Eighth, conclusion. And the last one is the references. The first part of the research is the title. When a reader browses through the table of contents of a journal issue, whether it is hard copy or on website, the title is the first detail or face of the paper that is read. It depends on the title whether the reader will read it or not. So, because the title summarizes the main idea or ideas of your study. A good title contains the fewest possible words needed to adequately describe the content and or purpose of your research paper. Ideally, the number of words in your title should not exceed 12 words. The initial aim of a title is to capture the reader's attention and to highlight the research problem under investigation. Because, as I've said earlier, it is the face of your research. According to writing the title and abstract for a research paper, being concise, precise, and meticulous is the key, by Milind S. Tulu, he or she said that hence, it needs to be simple. The title should be simple, direct, accurate, appropriate, specific, functional, interesting, attractive or appealing, concise or brief, precise or focused, unambiguous or clear, memorable, captivating, informative enough to encourage the reader to read further, unique, catchy, and it should not be misleading. So those are the characteristics of a good title. Journal websites, electronic databases, and search engines use the words in the title and abstract to retrieve a particular paper during a search. So if you are going to search online of a research topic, you will just type in the keywords, the words that is important in a research. So typically, it is in the title or the abstract. There are different types of titles according to Derntil. I don't know how to pronounce that. So, first one is the descriptive. When we say descriptive or neutral title, it describes what the paper is about. This has the essential elements of the research theme. That is, the subject, design, intervention, comparison or control, and outcome, but does not reveal the main result or the conclusion. So it does not reveal the result or conclusion. Such a title allows the reader to interpret the findings of the research paper in an impartial manner and with an open mind. So it depends on the reader to investigate what is the result of that paper. That is the description type, or I mean the descriptive type of title. An example of this is investigating the impact of ASEAN integration policy on higher educational institutions in the Philippines. So, as you have read, it doesn't reveal the result of the study, just an investigation. It's up to you to read the whole research paper. That's the descriptive or neutral title. The next one is the declarative form of title. So it states the results of the research. Unlike the descriptive, declarative type of title states the result of the research. The title states the main finding of the study in the title itself. It reduces the curiosity of the reader, may point toward a bias on the part of the author. So there could be biases with regards to the title, as well as it reduces the curiosity of the reader, since the results or the findings of the study is already on the title. The best kind of title is the descriptive one. An example of a declarative title is ASEAN Integration Policy Impacts Higher Educational Institutions in the Philippines. So it states here the result of the study. Therefore, ASEAN Integration Policy has an influence on the higher education institutions in the Philippines. So that's a declarative type of title. The next one is interrogative. From the word itself, it interrogates or asks a question. This is the one which has a query of the research question in the title. Though a query in the title has the ability to sensationalize the topic and has more downloads, meaning people are more interested with the interrogative type of title. It can be distracting to the reader and is again best avoided for a research article. So it is best that you avoid this type of title since it sensationalizes research. An example of this is, does ASEAN integration policy impact higher educational institutions in the Philippines? So that's the interrogative type of title. The last one is the compound title. It combines two titles and separate them with a colon. An example of this is, does ASEAN integration policy impact higher educational institutions in the Philippines? An empirical study. So first it starts with an interrogative title, and then an empirical study I think is under descriptive type of title. So those are the different types of title. My opinion is the best type of title is the descriptive one. It's the best title that you can use when doing research. The importance of choosing a good title is it is a part of a paper that is read the most, and it is usually read first. It is therefore the most important element that defines the research study. So, when starting a research, it doesn't mean that you will write the title first. You can start by asking a question, and then you can write the title in the following days that you have already formulated your research. Okay, so that's it. Next is the importance of choosing a good title. It was stated a while ago that it is the face of the research, but here are some of the reasons why the title is important, or choosing a good title is important. First one, if the title is too long, this usually indicates that there are too many unnecessary words. A title which is too short often uses words which are too broad and thus does not tell the reader what is being studied. And then catchy phrases or non-specific language may be used, but only if it's within the context of the study, such as fair and impartial jury, catch as catch can. But however, that example is quite literary and not actually a research title material. However, in most cases, you should avoid including words or phrases that do not help the reader understand the purpose of your paper. So, the title should be practical, since it states what's the purpose of your title or your paper. Academic writing is a serious and deliberate endeavor. Avoid using humorous or clever journalistic styles of phrasing when creating the title to your paper, because we have to remember that research or writing a research is formal and serious. Unlike everywhere else in a college level social sciences research paper, titles do not have to adhere to rigid grammatical or stylistic standards, meaning your title should not take the form of a sentence, or it does not have to follow the rules of grammar. For example, it could be appropriate to begin a title with a coordinating conjunction such as and, but, or, nor, etc. if it makes sense to do so and does not detract from the purpose of the study. Or beginning the title with an inflected form of a verb such as those ending in ing. To help you write a good research title, here are some simple steps to write a good research paper title. First step is ask yourself this question and make note of the answers. First is, what is your paper about? In this example, it states here that my paper studies whether X-therapy improves the cognitive function of patients suffering from dementia. So the researcher uses a certain therapy to know what is the effect of this in the cognitive function of people with dementia. And then, what techniques or designs were used? In this example, the researcher used a randomized trial. And then, the next question that you have to answer is, who or what is studied? In the example, the researchers studied 40 cases from 6 cities in Japan. So in writing who or what you studied, you have to be specific with the number of respondents you used, and then how many group of people, or I mean, if it is in school, how many sections did you get those respondents from? Meaning, in research, you have to be specific. That's the key word. And then the last one is, what were the results? So here it states that there was an improvement in the cognitive function of patients using the X therapy. So that's your first step. You have to answer the following questions. The second step is, use your answers to list keywords. Keywords are the most important words in your study, or words or concept. Keywords can be words or concepts. So you have to choose the words which are important in your study. So here, the researcher used the keywords X therapy, randomized trial, dementia, 6 Japanese cities, 40 cases, and improved cognitive function. And then the third step is, create a sentence that includes the keywords you listed. So after choosing the keywords, you just have to create a sentence using those keywords. In this example, this study is a randomized trial that investigates whether X therapy improved cognitive function in 40 dementia patients from 6 cities in Japan. It reports improved cognitive function. So the current length of the title here is 28 words. In the fourth step, delete all unnecessary or repetitive words and link the remaining. So as you can see, we remove this study is A, and then that investigates whether, and then it reports improved cognitive function, and then the remaining is 18 words. So we reduced it from 28 words to 18 words. And then the last step is, delete non-essential information and reword the title. Example here, randomized trial of X therapy for improving cognitive function in 40 dementia patients from 6 cities in Japan reports improved cognitive function. And then the researcher rewarded the title again with randomized trial of X therapy for improving cognitive function in 40 dementia patients. So the length now is just 13 words. Or you may include a subtitle. X therapy improves cognitive function in 40 dementia patients, a randomized trial. So your subtitle here is a randomized trial. It takes the form of a compound title. Now, your words, the length of your word is just 12 words, which is good. So that's the steps that you have to follow if you want to create a title. Here are some checklists or useful tips for drafting a good title for a research paper. First one is, the title needs to be simple and direct. You don't have to beat around the bush, since if you beat around the bush, your title will be wordy. And then it should be interesting and informative, of course. And it should be specific, accurate, and functional. If you think about it, it all boils down to being simple and direct. And also, if you want to have a good title, you have to get the keywords. And the next is, it should be concise, precise, and should include the main theme of the paper. It should not be misleading or misrepresentative. It means that what you should put in your title should represent what it really is. And the next is, it should not be too long or too short. Also, it should avoid being whimsical or amusing words. It should avoid using whimsical or amusing words, because remember that research is formal and serious. Next is, it should avoid non-standard abbreviations and unnecessary acronyms or technical jargon. Also, the place of the study and sample size should be mentioned only if it adds to the scientific value of the title. So if it is not that necessary, or if the title can go independently without the sample size and place of the study, then it's okay. You may remove the place of the study and the sample size. Next is important terms or keywords should be placed in the beginning of the title. Descriptive titles are preferred to declarative or interrogative titles. As I have said, descriptive title is better than any other research titles. Next is authors should adhere to the word count and other instructions as specified by the target journal. So, the requirement, the word count of a certain research, whether it is in the title or the abstract or the introduction or the whole research, depends on your target journal that you want it to be published. So you have to read whether, it depends on the person or the journal that you want to submit it to. Okay, so after discussing the title, it's quite a lengthy discussion about titles, we are now going to the abstract. When we talk about the abstract, it contains the summary of the findings and conclusions. It briefly presents the context of the study, research question or objectives, methodology, major findings, conclusion, and sometimes implications. Meaning, the abstract is the summary of your whole research. Yeah, that's it. An abstract does not contain any citation and a great deal of statistical results. Its length ranges from 100 to 250 words. Okay, so that is the abstract. In constructing the abstract, it follows a certain format. First, the structure of your abstract must contain the background or motivation. Why was the research conducted? So it should occupy 30% of the abstract. The next is the aim or purpose or problem statement. What is the purpose of your research? That is 10% of the whole abstract. Next is the methods. What methods or techniques did you use? That's also 10%. And then the results. What are your most important findings? 40%. And last, conclusion. What are your conclusions about the study? That's 20%. So as you may have noticed, the abstract must contain mostly the results of your study with 40%. So that's it. That's your abstract. Let's discuss an example of an abstract. Let's read this example. There is a considerable progress in the development of electronic portfolios, e-portfolio via Facebook, in several universities in America, Europe, and some parts of Asia. As one form of innovation in classroom practices, e-portfolio is both a reflective medium for learning and a tool for improving assessment of that learning. In the Philippines, a number of teachers are now attracted to use e-portfolio as an alternative assessment. That's your background. That consists of 30% of your abstract. So, according to here, why was the research conducted? So, it contains the motivation of your study. Here, in this part, the motivation is, in the Philippines, a number of teachers are now attracted to use e-portfolio as an alternative assessment. That's the motivation of the study. Followed by the purpose, which occupies 10% of your abstract. The purpose of the study. In this study, the level of impact of e-portfolio via Facebook on the students from the students' perspective and teachers' perspective was determined, as well as the significant difference between the scores assigned by the teachers and by the students from the La Salle University. So the purpose here is to know the level of impact of e-portfolio via Facebook on the students from the students' perspectives and teachers' perspective. That's your purpose. And then the next one is the method. What method is used in your study? According to this, data were collected through a retrospective self-report questionnaire. So it used a questionnaire. Descriptive, mean and standard deviation, and inferential, such as t-test, statistics were used for data analysis. So that is the method used in the study. And lastly, the results. The results showed there was a high level of impact of e-portfolio via FB on students based on the perspective of teachers and students. However, it can be seen from their various responses that both groups valued certain items over the others. So that is our result. And lastly, these findings suggest that e-portfolio is essential to student learning and opens an opportunity to explore the role of other digital platforms in reinventing the image of pedagogy in the Philippines. So that is an example of an abstract. Okay, that's the ending of the first part of our discussion about research or principles of research.